podcast. Uh, we hope that you are enjoying seeing Ted out and about. We have had clearance this morning from the veterinarians that did his physical exam that we can leave him out for a few hours every day. And that is exactly what we're going to do starting today. So we're happy, we're really excited, and we hope Ted is too. I'll talk a little bit about Ted and the other three bears as we go. Ted Bear is our 17-year-old male here. He is the largest bear here at the North American Bear Center. And we weighed him early this morning before we opened so we could get a current weight on him, and he is at 562. That's a great weight for him right now, and that's just about right where we would want him to be. His behavior is great. His personality, he's always excited to see us, and for those of you here that are new, when he sees one of the staff members, he goes, That's a friendly greeting from a bear, not just Ted, but other bears as well. That's a very positive, friendly greeting. Ted has always been in captivity. He has never known the challenges of the wild, but he's a fabulous ambassador bear, and I like to call him our gentle giant. By no means is he a giant whatsoever, but it's a nice thing I think about when I see Ted. He's just a gentle fella. We have a staff member here, Mom number one, standing by a tree. She's calling Holly Bear. Holly Bear is our 20-month-old yearling, and she was out and about approximately 45 minutes ago, and she had some peanuts, and she has disappeared into the 2.5 acres somewhere. We're not really sure where. You ever tried to find a little black bear in the woods? Well, we'll see what happens, but want to talk a little bit about Ted Bear. For those of you that can see Ted, maybe are really close here on the observation deck, you may see some shaved patches on Ted's hindquarter. Do not be alarmed at that. They did do a few shaves in some areas on his hindquarter and one of his legs to facilitate the examination process. A physical exam for a bear is a little different than it is for a human. He was sedated, so that's a little different than what it is for humans. But he's fine. He's back eating. He was eating the following morning. We gave him ice chips and water the day of, and so he's back to his normal self. But as I said, Ted Bear is a 17-year-old male, and he is the largest male here at the Bear Center. The bear that one of our staff members was calling was our 20-month-old bear called Holly Bear. She's a female. Beside only being 1.5 years old, she was born of a wild mother in the state of Arkansas. She was separated from her mother because of a wildfire. Some individuals picked her up and took her into a family environment and attempted to raise her, and that's really not something you want to do. In any event, those people were found out, and authorities took Holly Bear away, took her to a rehab facility in the state of Tennessee. She was deemed non-releasable back into the wild, and we have become little Holly Bears forever home. She has a habit, for those of you on the deck, Holly Bear has a habit of showing up from the left if she shows up. That's somewhat a little bit more of her habit, showing up from the left than from the right. But as I am talking here on the observation deck, I see no movement, and I don't hear any branches crackling or whatever, and I don't see her peeking out, wondering who's all down in the viewing area. Actually, the staff were really quite interested to see what little Holly Bear does do with Ted out. As I said, Ted's not been out for a number of weeks, So she's not had the opportunity to interact with him for a couple of weeks now. And now little Holly Bear has gotten a little older and a little bit more comfortable in the 2.5 acres. So we're actually quite curious to see what kind of behavior Holly Bear will demonstrate. The staff is, you should be seeing our 18-year-old female here shortly. Her name is Honey Bear. And for those of you on the deck, when Honey Bear comes out, she will come from the right, and she is a cinnamon phase black bear. And what is a cinnamon phase black bear? Well, they look, in color, brown. They look brown, but she's not a brown bear at all. She is just as much a black bear as Ted Bear out in front of you. Honey Bear has a similar history to Ted. She's always lived in captivity, and she is 18 years old and has never had cubs. She looks quite different, actually, than Ted. Honey Bear dens late. She's the latest of our bears in denning, and she is the latest to shed her winter coat. When she does come down the way here, and here she comes, Honey Bear, PTZ driver, Honey Bear at the food shed. Honey Bear, as soon as she comes into the light, you'll see how much different she looks than Ted. All that light, or shall we say light blonde, or really light tan, that is still her winter coat, and she will have that winter coat for a few more weeks, more than likely into September, until it's all gone. It's all gone, and she becomes quite a dark chocolate colored, like her legs are right now. If you look at her legs, they're really quite dark, and she is, as I said, a cinnamon phase black bear. She has quite a different personality than Ted Bear. Ted really enjoys people, and he's always very excited to see people. As I indicated, that's Ted when you walk by him. Honey, not so much. Honey's really quite the opposite. She is shy and she's timid, in the sense that she's really not interested in people unless you have a food pouch or unless you have a black bucket. Black buckets and food pouches mean food. So she's quite interested if you have one of those two items. Otherwise, she's really quite happy to be by herself. And in observing Honey Bear with the other bears, she usually likes 25 or 30 feet on average. That's just kind of my estimate. When I see her, shall we say, go to one of the other bears, when they get about as close as 20 feet to her, she's usually making some vocalizations and say, you know, back off and get further away because you're in my space. She pretty much will get her way here at the Bear Center, demonstrating it is a matriarchal society in the wild. But she is a sweet bear. She's not the first to trust a new caregiver here at the Bear Center, so it takes a new person a while to get comfortable with her, or I should say, it takes a while for Honey Bear to get comfortable with the new caregiver. Once she's comfortable with you, life is good, but until then, she will kind of test you a little bit and can make it a little bit difficult at first, but once she gets to know you, she's just a real sweetheart. We have one more bear, and his name is Lucky Bear, and he won't be out until this afternoon. Lucky Bear is a 7-year-old neutered male. He's a small version of Ted, and in fact, Ted has about 190 pounds on him over Lucky Bear. So when I say a smaller version, I mean about 200 pounds less, and Lucky is a little shorter from nose to tail, and he's got a little bit smaller head set. His muzzle's a little darker, and actually his behavior, his personality is quite different as well. Lucky is very, very curious. He can be kind of a PTZ driver, Holly Bear, at the tree line. PTZ driver, Holly Bear, coming toward the High Falls. She's now between the High Falls and Center Falls. Staff members have seen her, and the staff members are actually calling little Holly right now. I suspect Holly is going to check on the fact that Ted's out and not her buddy Lucky. I'm just going to lower my voice a little bit because Holly is now seeing who's out. I believe she has seen Lucky Bear. Beautiful picture opportunity there for you people. She's getting a drink. Excellent picture opportunity. PTZ driver Holly Bear is on the High Falls, moving to the right. Holly Bear is going to come toward the rock den. She will come right out above the rock den. And I'm not sure she knows this is Ted and not Lucky. She has seen Honey Bear, and now she is like, whoops, there's a different black bear there. I don't think that's Lucky. She is looking straight at Ted Bear. She now knows that is not Lucky. She's thinking, what should I do? Notice her behavior. Notice little Holly's behavior. She's slowed down. She's thinking. She's smelling. She's looking. And what should I do? She's going around the rock den and she's not sure about Ted. She is going toward one of her surrogate mothers. In fact, there are two surrogate mothers down below. We have Mom 1 and Mom 2 out. She chose not to engage Ted, but to go toward her two surrogate mothers, and they threw out what we call a donut. No, it's not a chocolate or not a jelly-filled donut like a lot of kids think. It's just a hard plastic circle with holes in it, with treats in it. And they're also throwing out some peanuts for her. Because what we saw, some very interesting behavior when she was up above that rock assessing the situation. She clearly is aware that Ted is not Lucky. She's not sure about him. They have met, and Holly Bear and Holly Bear and Ted have touched noses. But she's not been out with Ted for a few weeks, so she's being cautious. And that's a trait that black bears have. If they're not sure of the situation, they may run first and ask questions later. Well, Holly Bear did not run away. She just kept a little distance between herself and Ted Bear. She knows the two staff members that she's comfortable with, and they threw out that donut for her to have some treats. And for those of you on the deck, note what little Holly Bear is doing. She's eating. As she takes a few bites, she's looking around. She's scanning the area. She's a little apprehensive because it's not quite the same this morning, because she's used to having Honey and Lucky, her buddy, out. Now, Lucky and her have developed a friendship, and we see in the last 6 weeks or so, we have seen Lucky and Holly in the pond together, playing, and we have seen them around the area here playing and having fun. But she's not gotten that far in a relationship with Ted yet. She was comfortable enough just to touch noses with him about a month ago, but then we had to confine Ted because of some concerns about his health. So she's really not seen Ted quite like this without a fence between them. So she's thinking about it. And note, she's watching Ted, and Ted is just being Ted Bear. Ted is fascinated by the cube, and Ted does like his food. I will say, Ted likes food. And we're watching how Ted manipulates that cube, because we have had some concerns about Ted's front legs. And so the staff is watching how he manipulates that, and which leg he uses. So Holly Bear has also, I believe, smelled the treats in that tree with a little platform on it, a little tiny square platform. And that actually has some bear food on it. It's got, for those of you on the deck, you can probably see it's got red grapes and peanuts in a shell. Well, I always like to talk about that little platform. Holly knows it's there. I'm reasonably sure she knows it's there, but she didn't go after it yet. But if that was a bird feeder, you might think about bird feeding. A lot of bird seed that you may buy in the store that you put out for birds in the summer really is a wildlife feeder. And I know once in a while we'll have visitors come in and say, you know, I like feeding birds, but I'm tired of feeding the deer and the chipmunks and the squirrels and the raccoons and the bears. I just want to feed birds. Well, that's kind of hard to do. You have to be very careful about the bird seed, and most bird seeds are bear attractants. They're opportunists, and if they're hungry, they may consider a bird feeder. But keep that in mind. I always recommend, here in the Ely area at least, that bird feeders, don't put bird feeders out until probably November for the winter months, and take them down probably in April, because the birds will be fine during the summer and spring months. But I always caution the bird people that it is a wildlife feeder. Now, if Holly Bear decides that there's not enough food down there, she may attempt to get that food on the little platform that we have here. And the reason why we do that is to demonstrate, if she decides to go up there and get that food, what a bear will do if that was a bird feeder, or how ingenious and creative they can get to the food they want. Both Ted and Honey are not climbers anymore, but little Holly is, and I've actually seen herself turn herself almost upside down to try to get to the food, pull the rope, swing the little platform, and just about every other little antic you can think of to get the food on that platform. I once again want to tell people who follow us here at the North American Bear Center that our plan for Ted Bear is the plan that we had in the spring and early summer, is that we're going to, as the veterinarian has instructed us, we can start leaving Ted out for a few hours every day. Ted enjoys being out in the morning hours, and for those of you that of course follow our bears here at the Bear Center, you all know that Lucky Bear is a sleepyhead, and he's not big on getting out in the morning anyhow. Lucky likes to sleep late, so it works really well. We will be leaving Ted out for a few hours generally in the morning, as he can tolerate that, and that'll be a day-to-day call, I have to admit. But then Lucky Bear will be out, and so for those of you that have followed us, we're going to go back to the routine that we had in May and June, and we'll certainly keep our followers informed. But getting back to you folks and visitors that have not been to the Bear Center before, I want to thank you for choosing the North American Bear Center today. It's a beautiful day here in Ely, no wind, sun. It must be 70 degrees by now. It's a gorgeous day. It's been a little cool in the overnight hours, making you think of fall time, but it's not fall yet. We're open 9 to 7, And for those of you that came to the Bear Center today, you have a day pass. And that means you can come and go as many times as you'd like during the day today. And we would encourage you certainly to do that. There's a number of places for lunch or coffee in the Ely area, as well as shopping. And if you're interested in other wildlife, of course you know, if you don't, you are in black bear country, being here in Ely, Minnesota. You are also in wolf country. So the International Wolf Center is a mile the other side of downtown Ely, and they are also open today. And that's another great place to visit and learn about wolves. The International Wolf Center does have a wolf pack, and you'll be able to see them, as well as now you've seen some of our bears as well.